Episode 43, titled Plan Dashboard Behavior, Static, Dynamic, Recurring, Ad Hoc, Self-Service. The focus is on why behavior planning matters as much as the metrics themselves. A dashboard that surprises its audience, even when it is technically correct, tends to lose trust quickly because people do not know what changed, when it changed, or why it changed. Behavior is the set of expectations a viewer has about what the dashboard does when they open it, click it, or rely on it in a meeting. When those expectations are designed deliberately and stated clearly, the dashboard becomes a stable decision tool instead of a source of doubt. A static dashboard is best understood as a fixed view with limited interaction, built to communicate a repeatable picture the same way every time. The primary value is consistency, because the audience learns what each view means and can compare one period to the next without worrying that someone filtered differently. Static does not mean outdated, since the data can refresh, but the layout, filters, and definitions are intentionally constrained. This type of behavior works well when the organization needs a single common view for audits, executive briefings, or shared operational awareness, where interpretability matters more than exploration. A dynamic dashboard adds interactive filtering and drill downs, which makes it useful when people need to move from a high-level signal to a specific slice of data without switching artifacts. Interactivity can include selecting time windows, choosing regions or systems, and drilling from a summary metric into underlying categories or examples, which helps reduce the back and forth that can slow decision-making. The trade-off is that dynamic behavior can produce multiple truths in a room if people apply different filters and then speak as if they are looking at the same view. For that reason, dynamic dashboards require careful design of defaults, clear filter state visibility, and a disciplined approach to what interactions are allowed. Recurring dashboards are defined by scheduled refresh and distribution, meaning the dashboard is expected to be ready at predictable times and sometimes delivered automatically to an audience. The key behavioral promise is reliability because viewers build routines around it, such as a Monday morning review or a daily shift handoff, and the dashboard becomes part of the operational rhythm. Recurring behavior is not only about refresh. It is also about ensuring definitions stay stable, exceptions are handled consistently, and the output is available even when someone is not actively looking for it. When recurring promises are broken, the dashboard can quickly be treated as optional, which undermines its entire role. Ad hoc dashboards exist to answer new questions quickly, often when a leader asks for clarity on an emerging issue and the organization needs a fast, defensible view. The behavior here is speed over polish, but speed must still be paired with transparent caveats about what is included, what is missing, and how the data was pulled. An ad hoc view often starts as a temporary artifact, but it can accidentally become permanent if it proves useful, which is where unmanaged ad hoc work becomes a governance risk. The discipline is to treat ad hoc dashboards as intentionally time-bound unless they are promoted into a maintained product with defined ownership and refresh rules. Self-service describes user-driven exploration with guardrails, where consumers can slice, filter, and investigate without waiting for an analyst to build every view. The promise is empowerment, because teams can ask better questions and move faster, but the risk is inconsistency, misuse, and exposure of data that should be restricted. Guardrails can include approved datasets, certified metric definitions, constrained filter options, and clear warnings about interpretation, which keep exploration productive rather than chaotic. In a mature environment, self-service does not replace curated reporting. It complements it by handling the long tail of questions while keeping the core story consistent. Dashboard behavior should match the speed of the decision and the governance needs of the environment because not every choice can tolerate the same level of ambiguity. Fast operational decisions often benefit from stable, recurring behavior so the team can react confidently, while deeper investigative work may require dynamic or self-service exploration to locate root causes. Governance needs grow when data is sensitive, regulated, or used to measure performance because inconsistent filters and shifting definitions can lead to disputes and poor incentives. The right behavior is the one that provides enough flexibility to answer the question while still keeping interpretation controlled and reproducible. Confusion is often preventable by stating refresh timing and data latency plainly, because many dashboard errors are really misunderstandings about timing. Refresh timing explains when the underlying dataset updates, while latency explains how far behind real-world events the dataset is, which can differ by source and by pipeline. If a security event feed lags by 2 hours, a dashboard can look quiet while incidents are actively unfolding, and the silence can be misread as safety. When timing expectations are included in the artifact, viewers stop guessing, and the dashboard is judged against the correct standard. An operations dashboard scenario makes the differences between behaviors easy to see, because operations work lives on timing, consistency, and accountability. Consider a team monitoring service availability, incident volume, and time to detect across critical systems, where on-call engineers and managers rely on the same metrics. A static, recurring dashboard can support a daily review and prevent debates about which filter was used, while a dynamic layer can allow drill down into a specific system when an alert spikes. If an unusual incident pattern appears, an ad hoc dashboard might be built to answer a new question for the next leadership update, and self-service might allow partner teams to explore their own slice without flooding the core analysts with requests. Self-service becomes dangerous when access is not controlled, because dashboards often combine sensitive details, identifiers, or operational context that should not be widely visible. Least privilege access and role-based segmentation protect data such as PII, incident narratives, customer impact estimates, or internal control weaknesses, and they also reduce the risk of accidental disclosure through screenshots or shared links. Even when the user has permission, self-service can expose more detail than needed for the decision, which increases the chance of misinterpretation and unnecessary spread. A well-governed self-service model ensures people can explore within safe boundaries and still land on approved definitions when reporting upward. Performance is part of behavior because a dashboard that is slow, inconsistent, or prone to timeouts teaches users to distrust what they see. Heavy filters, complex visuals, and overly granular drill downs can cause long load times and partial renders, which creates a subtle failure mode where two people see different states and assume the data is changing. Stable performance often requires limiting expensive interactions, reducing visual clutter, and pre-aggregating common views so the dashboard can respond predictably. When performance is treated as a design requirement, user trust increases because the dashboard behaves like a dependable instrument rather than a fragile web page. Behavior expectations should be documented so users trust results, because trust is built by repeatability and clear contracts. Documentation does not have to be long, but it should state what the dashboard is for, what it is not for, which definitions are used, how refresh works, what filters exist, and what common misreads to avoid. This matters most when dashboards are used in meetings, audits, and performance discussions, where ambiguous interpretation becomes an organizational problem rather than an individual one. When the behavior contract is clear, questions become sharper and debates shift from "is the dashboard wrong?" to "what decision do we make from this view?" A mental behavior checklist can be repeated quickly by asking what kind of stability the audience needs and what kind of exploration they truly require. The first check is whether the organization needs one shared view that everyone can repeat, which points towards static and recurring behavior. The second check is whether the decision requires drill down within the same artifact, which supports dynamic behavior. And the third is whether the environment can safely support broad exploration, which determines whether self-service is appropriate. The final check is whether the dashboard is meant to exist temporarily to answer a new question, which defines the ad hoc case and signals that promotion into a maintained product should be deliberate. To conclude, one useful habit is to take a single dashboard that matters in the organization and decide its behavior explicitly, then justify that choice using audience needs rather than personal preference. The justification can be grounded in decision speed, governance risk, sensitivity of data, performance constraints, and the refresh and latency realities of the underlying sources. When behavior is chosen intentionally, the dashboard becomes easier to explain, easier to trust, and easier to maintain as the environment changes. That small act of choosing behavior up front is often what separates dashboards that become dependable infrastructure from dashboards that become ignored noise. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.